Buy or Sell is presented by the Robertson and Cox Real Estate Team. Looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? We've got your back. Centrally located in Radford, Virginia, the RNC team is proudly and professionally serving the New River Valley, Roanoke, and Southwest Virginia. With over 35 combined years of experience, we have all the knowledge needed to help you reach your real estate goals. Contact us today for all of your real estate needs. Visit rncteam.com to learn more.
What's going on, Hokie Nation? It's time for everybody's favorite show here at Tech Sideline, Buy or Sell. Coming off the heels of the loss on the road at Syracuse, we did not too much winning here, but it was good weeks for Will. It was a solid week for Andy and a solid week for the fans. Going question by question here. McCord, 50 or more passing attempts. Andy, Chris, Will, and the fans ended up selling to get this thing right. Syracuse, 100 or more rushing yards. A buy for Andy, Will, and the fans. They got that one right. Malachi Thomas, 25 or more rushing yards. A buy out of Nick, Will, and the fans. They got that one right. In everybody else's defense, I think we thought Tootin was going to start the game.
That was over the second that Tootin didn't dress. Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Peter Moore, 55 or more yards on one single punt. Andy sold it, Chris sold it, and Will sold it. They got that one correct. And then everybody bought Virginia Tech converting one or more fourth downs. Tech did not convert on a single fourth down.
Did they even have a fourth down?
I don't think they did. Not that they went for it.
They went for one, yeah.
I don't think
they might have in that overtime if they not fumbled at the end.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. So David and I had an 0 for 5 week. Nick had a 1 for 5 week. The fans ended up going 3 and 2. Will with a terrific 4 and 1 week. Andy with a solid 3 and 2 week, and then Chris wrapped it up 2 and 3.
Well, that's how you make up for that 0 and
5. There's hope, Gio. There's hope.
Sure.
Yeah, the Hokies were 0 of 0 on fourth down.
You just got to catch a heater.
You just got to catch a heater. I see it. I see what you did there, Chris. Let's take a look at the standings here. The fans, they continue to be pessimistic, and now it's starting to work out for them again because Virginia Tech's slowing down a little bit here. They lead everybody. They're correct 48.9% of the time. Still below 500, though. Two-way tie for second between Andy and Will, 46.7%. Chris is in fourth, 44.4%. David in fifth, 42.2%. Nick is in sixth, 37.8%. And then I continue to dig my way deeper into the basement, 33.3% after an 0 and 5 week. But like Andy said, statistically, it is just as difficult to go 0 and 5 as it is 5 and 0.
If these are all 50-50 propositions, yes. So well done.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's get into our lines this week. We'll start Virginia Tech, 150 or more rushing yards this week. Chris, what you thinking?
I bought it.
All
because that Clemson yards per carry allowed. No, I'm banking on the game. I know I picked Clemson by 2 touchdowns, but I'm banking on the game to be competitive for the majority of it. So Virginia Tech's going to get some rushing built up. I went ahead and bought that one. I could see it going the other way, though.
Andy?
I bought it. Opponents are 4 of 8 against Clemson this year, so it's right on the line there of whether they do it. I feel like that's Tech's best chance in this game is to run the ball a lot, try to control the clock, keep that Clemson offense off the field. And like Chris mentioned, Clemson gives up quite a bit yards per carry. So if they keep at it, I think there are yards there to be had.
Will, what you thinking?
I also bought it. As we've detailed elsewhere, Clemson has the number 95 rushing defense in terms of yards per carry. Virginia Tech's going to focus on the run. As Chris pointed out, as long as it doesn't get out of hand, the Hokies have, I think, a good shot at getting 150 yards.
We haven't put it out yet, but curious to see what the fans will have to say about all of these, of course. David went ahead and bought this thing. He thinks Virginia Tech will have 150 or more. Nick, what do you think? Because we got the mic set up for you over there.
We're all going to buy it. So are the fans.
Well, how am I supposed to catch up if everybody's buying?
Yeah,
that's true.
That was a rough line.
The curse of buy or sell.
I'm buying this one as well.
Well, now I feel terrible.
Exactly. I was going to say, don't follow my lead. So, Hokies 24 or more points on Saturday. We'll start with Will.
I originally picked Clemson to win 34-20. And then I got to thinking about it, and Virginia Tech just tends to score more than 24.
True.
So Didn't put a whole lot of thought into it, just changed my pick, and so I am buying that when Virginia Tech will score. I picked 34-24, so clearly that's where I landed.
Andy?
I said sell. I went 34-23, my prediction. Tech got the 31 last week. I feel like they did kind of break out some tricks to do it with, shifting and snapping to the running back and a bunch of reverses and stuff. I don't know how much of that works 2 weeks in a row, so I've got them under this one.
Chris?
I sold it for pretty much the same reason.
All right. Nick, what you thinking?
I've got him right at 24. I think Tyler Bowen has proven that he can weasel out enough points, but
Weasel out. He means
we'll see. Yes, that's a good one. But with all these wrinkles, like you said, every single game, it seems like he's got a new trick up his sleeve, especially with that reverse. It's been really good.
Virginia Tech 24 or more points. David sold this one, and I went ahead and bought this one because my final score prediction was 31-27. 27 is more than 24. Don't listen to me. I lose every week. Clemson 3 or more sacks. We'll start it with Chris.
I bought it. They're not dominant in terms of like a lot of past Clemson's teams were in sacks. They're just over 2 per game. But, if Drones plays and he's not quite 100%, that makes him a little more of a sitting duck. There were some times last week when Schlee held the ball a little too long. That seems to be an issue with both of Tech's quarterbacks, so maybe it's not a them thing. So I bought it. I'll have Clemson at 3 or 4, something like that.
Andy?
I bought it too. Same reason. If Drones can't move as well because of his ankle and plays, you're back there, you might get sacked more often. And I think Schlee, when it's the backup and maybe the operation isn't always as solid as it could be, or the timing and stuff like that. So I like 3 for Clemson in this one.
Will?
I am selling it, so there's a chance for some separation here. Clemson averages 2.1 sacks per game. And Virginia Tech started off the year by giving up 4 against Vanderbilt and 4 against
Rutgers.
Rutgers, I think. But they've only given up 3 sacks in 1 of the last 7 games, and that was against Syracuse, the most recent game, and that was exactly at 3 sacks. So I'm looking at that combo without thinking too much about how the game might go. So I'm selling that Clemson will get 3+.
Nick, what you think?
I'm just selling.
That's nice.
No analysis at all.
David went
selling.
ahead and sold this one, and I am going to buy it. I think Clemson gets 3 or more sacks. So we were
50-50.
3 and 3. Yeah. All right. We're 50-50 here. Cade Klubnik, 65% or better on his completion percentage on Saturday. Andy, we'll start with you.
I sold that. I feel like we had a 65% for somebody earlier this year, whether it was Drones or an opposing team. I think it's a tough number to hit.
It is.
Especially, I think the Hokies have a pretty good pass defense. Now, big plays, you give up a big play. They've done that a little bit this year. But percentage-wise, I think they could be pretty good against this, so I sold it.
Chris?
I sold it as well. Seems like the 3 best defenses he's faced, he's been pretty well below 65%. And he's gotten his numbers up by facing some past defenses that are outside the top 100 or outside the top 90 or whatever. So I think it'll be a little bit tougher going for him against the Virginia Tech pass defense. So I sold it.
Will?
I also sold it. His season-long completion percentage is 65.1. And as Chris noted, he's run that up a little bit against some inferior competition. And Hokies got a pretty good pass D, so I think I'm selling it.
Nick?
Well, daggone, that's a bad line by me, but I'm selling. Dorian Strong supremacy.
All right. David went ahead and bought this one. He thinks Cade Klubnik gets 65% or better. And for the sake of trying to catch up, I also bought this one, 65% or better. This is crazy. He went 24-26 against Appalachian State. Obviously, take that with the largest grain of salt
really
ever.
bad, yeah.
Sure. But 75 against Wake Forest, they also stink. Over 65 against UVA, they're also not great. 67% against NC State. He's shown that he can do it. On the road, I don't really have good logic for this one, except going against the grain.
That's one of those where if you get off to like a bad start, like, oh, he's misfired on his first 5 passes, you're like, I'm not getting this number.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to catch up on this one without just a real streak in there.
Very true, but sometimes a guy will finish the first quarter and he's like 10 of 10.
I've seen that against the Hokies before, yeah.
We do need to put an asterisk for like a minimum number of passes. Like, what if he starts out 4 or 5 and gets hurt?
Yeah, 3 passes.
Right?
It depends on whether he's 4 or 5 or 3 of 5 on whether I accept the asterisk.
I don't know though. I don't know. Vegas, it doesn't matter. Like
That's
if the guy
true.
gets hurt, it doesn't matter.
That's true.
So I think we gotta hold everybody to it. Last line here for this weekend on Saturday. Phil Maffa, 115 or more rushing yards. Andy.
I bought this one. I thought I bought it pretty easily just looking at how he did. And I looked at the season total here. He's only hit this number 3 times. Now, he's hit it considerably against Florida State, 154, 171 last week against Louisville. So I think that's why I was so on the buy side of this. But if you're going game to game, he has not gotten it in 5 of the 8 games. So maybe going against the trend a little bit, but I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of buys on this one. So I'm in the buy category.
Will?
I bought it in my note.
Threw Nick for a curveball there.
I bought it, and the note I have for that is no brainer. Whatever that means. I wrote it last night.
Interesting. Chris?
I bought it. My most recent glimpse at the Virginia Tech rush defense
was not
didn't
good.
leave me very impressed. And so I bought it.
All right, Nick, what'd you do? Because you're the only one that did it.
I'm selling it because the defense has really keyed in on these key players. You saw it with Monungai and Jamal Haynes. And then I think they were overly cautious with Kyle McCord over the middle. And then he chucked it outside around. So I'm just hoping again. Oh, and you saw it again with Alec Ironmanner when they shut him down. So I sold Alec Ironmanner having 4 catches. I was the only one to do it. I got it right. I'm hoping it's happening again.
That's good logic.
It's good logic. It's good. One is a receiver, and the passing defense has been better than the rushing defense, but I appreciate the logic, no doubt. David bought this thing, and then I went ahead and bought it as well. So maybe Nick will be the difference maker. So I think that wraps things up for this week. Looking forward to a fun one on Saturday. Chris, where are you going to be watching the game from? In the stands? Well, sometimes you don't make it to the stands.
It's a fair question.
Well, it depends. So, like, this has been a weird year. Like, I always go to games with a certain set of friends, and they haven't been able to come to games this year.
Okay.
So, it's been difficult from that standpoint.
Fair.
So you are going to the game in attendance? Maybe a better question is when will you be leaving the game?
Oh, I'll stay.
Okay. All right. I'm just curious.
Okay. Good to know.
Maybe it gets out of hand. You're like,
What about
Get
you,
a
Will?
jump start on
You have a
the bars
reunion
here.
this weekend?
Yeah, I got
Does
a
that
big-
have anything to do with the game?
Oh, yeah, we're going to the game.
Beautiful.
There's going to be 45 of us.
Wow.
So, yeah, big time. Hopefully the Hokies will hang in there.
Sweet. Well, Andy and I, David, will be up in the press box. Nick will be at the game for sure. For Nick Brown behind the scenes, for Will Stewart, for Andy Bitter, Chris Coleman, I'm Giovanni Heater saying so long. Thanks for tuning in to Buy or Sell. Wear your stripe out. Make sure you're wearing the right shirt for the right section on Saturday. Go Hokies.